So today I'm going to demo this manual review step function explorer that I recently wrote. This setup is simple. The idea is that we have a step function definition which requires a manual intervention in its flow. So this function basically demos how we're creating a demo sample data in the initialized review code. In the initialized Lambda, we see that data is equal to this sample record with simple JSON, which is written back to S3 in a file called sample data delete. In the Lambda handler, I'm returning a config with environment, the dataset name, job ID, the bucket, this S3 key, and I'm setting this variable review required to true. So if you look at the step function definition, the next step is check if review required. The check if review required is a type choice object, and it checks if the review is required, and if it is, then it calls the send Slack notification Lambda, which is this guy right here. If the review would not be required, then we would just delete data as is. That's the idea. So this also shows a flow where we could bypass the manual review even if it was set up as part of the step function definition. So the wait for manual review is a special type of Lambda function. We call it invoke.wait for task token. The minute you do this, the step function generates a task token which can be accessed within the Lambda function. So the minute we do this, if I go to the definition of Slack notification Lambda handler, within the event, I get something called task token right here, which I can access. The minute I do this, I basically am sending out a notification to Slack with this task token, an approval link, a rejection link, and an S3 file, which was the file we just created in initialized manual review. Go and read this code as much as you want to. It's right here. So we send a notification to this pre-created topic arn, which is also linked directly with. It's set up with a webhook subscription on Slack. I've posted a video on how that was set up, and I'll show you how this kind of works. But the idea is that, and this API gateway is also set up. It's an HTTPS API with two endpoints, approve and reject. And what we are and with both approve and reject, that's what we send back. Approve if we click on approve, then that's the whole payload that it gets. Otherwise, reject gets this other one. And as Slack notification is sent, the Lambda goes into a wait state. I'll demo how that works. So let's do an execute step function. Initialize data sets created. We checked if review was required. It was. A Slack notification was sent out. And this demonstrates how data deletion review, it can be set up using a Slack workflow builder, simple low code, no code setup, with the idea that if you see right here, you see that the data sample, so it's a data set, the job ID, the data sample sent out the file, and I have the option of approving this or rejecting this review. I can even click on this S3 file. It opens up in a separate browser. It can even be downloaded directly with a pre-signed URL valid for 24 hours, and we can approve or reject this. So if we say approved, you see here that it goes to check approval status, which is approved, and it goes and deletes the data. The check approval status is also another Lambda function. Actually not a Lambda function, API gateway Lambda. API gateway was backed by another Lambda function, which from the raw path understood what the action was, whether it was approved or rejected, and it passed it along to the step function as send task success with the information. I'm sending a send task success whether or not the review is rejected or approved, because I want it to be handled in the step function. So the step function, now you go to the definition at the very end, checks the approval status. If it was approved, it says delete data. Default is always cancel the deletion. So once this happens, let's say we run this again. This time a Slack notification would be sent out and I'm rejecting it, it will go to cancel deletion. So the entire flow is also linked here. I'm going to show you how this actually works. So this is the step function that's already posted. This is the definition, and I'll start a new notification. says start execution. We said generate dataset, review required, same definition that I posted in the code there. A manual review is sent out. Now I open Slack, my approval workflow dummy gets this file, and I have the option of approving, rejecting. I can click on the file, and when I do, the file actually has a hospital doc ID, so the information I can one click download it, and from right here I can say approve, and it says approval process successfully. And if I go back to my Lambda, it goes into a success state right here. Same thing, let's re-trigger this Lambda, new execution. This time we'll demo how rejection works. Same thing, generate data set, review required, raise another manual review on Slack. This was 741. I get another review request. If I try to reject this, it wouldn't work because this was the older message. But this is the new one, and I can reject that, and that says rejection processed successfully. This was again processed by the Lambda backing my API gateway endpoint. And if I go back to my the failed state input received is manually rejected true, and therefore this time of it.